Welcome to the Inside Out Money Podcast.
Can't even recognize this place. Too many pieces of our past mistakes.
Hi, I'm Maggie, and I believe real change starts from the inside out. So let's work together to improve our money and our lives from the inside out. We will explore all things money and our relationship with it. Join me each week with a rotating set of co-hosts, friends, and interviews. Let's jump in.
It's time, we going round and round and round and round and round.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Maggie.
Is this your favorite topic?
This might be my favorite topic.
Aside from like index fund investing?
Yeah, the investment path is probably my favorite topic in all of this because I just love that topic. But this is a close second because you can't walk the investment path without having money to invest, and the way you have money to invest is by controlling your expenses and utilizing some of these tips and hacks that we do, right?
Or you just make an insane amount of money. But likely, if you make an insane amount of money, you're probably spending an insane amount of money also because that's how life tends to be. But there are some really cool things you can do to save money. So that's what we're talking about today, are like some of our favorite savings hacks. Welcome to the Inside Out Money Podcast. This is a personal finance podcast focused on redefining wealth from the inside out. Every week, I speak with a rotating set of co-hosts about different financial topics to help you improve your financial mindset and tactics. Today is much more tactics focused. And today we've got Andrew, and we are going to talk about some of our favorite savings hacks.
Yeah, also known as Mr. Practical on this podcast.
Andrew is, yeah. And this isn't like cutting the ends off toothpaste or like cutting our
I was hoping
hair.
we were going to mention that one.
Well, yeah. At one point I was like, we should rank this like big to small, like home savings versus like cutting the ends off your toothpaste is down at the bottom, but it's very meaningful.
That is, maybe we should start there because there are some people who talk about, don't care about all the small stuff, only care about housing, car, and food, right?
Yeah, and they really knock like the latte factor
Correct.
and all that. Yeah. I have mixed views.
I definitely don't agree with that. I think that you can optimize everything. And yeah, if you're just focusing on the small stuff and you avoid, you overspend on your house and your house poor and you're driving a luxury car, but then you're cutting your toothpaste tubes, that's not ideal scenario, right?
Yeah.
But I think you can optimize throughout everything, and yeah, those lattes add up.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in the middle in the sense of, if lattes are what's most important to you, go for it. But everything can't be important to you,
right,
unless you're able to still meet all your financial goals and spend tons of money. But for the average person, and especially as they're trying to build and grow their wealth over time, that's hard to do. And often we need to look for more creative ways to save money. And I'd say, the number one piece of advice, and then we'll get into specific tactics, is track your expenses, because it's really hard to notice things if you don't know where things are going. And I don't even mean track your expenses for the rest of your life, but like do it for a couple years. And then if things feel like they're getting out of hand again, go back and do it again. And I just know way too many people who don't do this and have no idea like what's getting charged on their credit card and reference like, I just, like months ago I got charged an annual fee on some service I don't use anymore. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how could you not?
Yeah.
I just know like every single thing that comes in, or Greg notices it and he's like, what's this? And I'm like, I don't know what that is. Let's go figure it out.
It all starts with tracking.
It all starts with tracking your expenses.
All right. So then next, let's jump into some home topics, as that is, home/housing, right? Like that's typically people's biggest expense. So let's just hit a couple of these. First up, refinance your mortgage, which a few years ago was a really popular topic. So in a declining rate environment, refinancing your mortgage was a great idea. I had done it multiple times. In today's environment, that's typically not working out very well right now because rates have been climbing.
Yeah, likely your mortgage is already lower than what today's rates are. But
yes.
Give it a couple years, we might be back in a place where
it will come
you
down.
may be listening to this when rates are 3%
Right.
again. Wouldn't that be exciting?
And you can save an enormous amount of money by refinancing on your mortgage if you got to do the math on how long it will take you to break even. But it typically, if the rates move enough, you can definitely start saving some money by dropping it. I think it really varies by person to person, right? But I think I would typically was refinancing when rates were down like 1.5 points.
Yeah. My only comment on refinancing your mortgage is be careful and pay attention to what's the table they show you where it's like the lifetime payout?
The amortization table.
Yeah, the amortization table. Well, they'll show you like what you're going to pay, what you're paying now in terms of principal versus interest, and then what the new loan would look like. Because there are times where someone says, "Oh, well, my payment's lower," and like that's a good thing. But you've just if you're 5 or 10 years into a mortgage, you're now adding another 10 years onto your mortgage, and so be careful on you want to look at the long-term cost. And look, if you're going from like 8% to 3%, like it's probably a no-brainer that it's going to be a good setup for you. But just pay attention to the details because it is not always worth the costs involved in refinancing your mortgage, depending on the differential between your current rate and the rate you're going to get.
Yep. All right. Next one, negotiate your realtor commissions.
Have you ever done this?
Absolutely. And my mom's a realtor. And so I'm very familiar with this business. I certainly support my mom's work that she's done. But I'll give you 2 examples. When we bought our first house in Georgia, it was a new build, and the builder was required to pay a realtor a 3% commission. And so we'd already found the house, like we'd found the neighborhood, we found the house, we'd done all the work.
So you weren't working with a realtor?
We were not working with a realtor yet. And so we had found the house, we'd found where we wanted to live, and I did the math on a $400,000 house. It was going to be a $12,000 commission. So I called up a couple of realtors and said, "Hey, would you like this deal? And you give me $10K and I'll pay you $2K for doing nothing, basically." And I found a realtor who was willing to do it.
Yeah. And that $2K covered their cost of, there's a little bit they actually have to help you with on the paperwork.
Yeah,
and
on the
all
paper.
that.
Basically, it was paperwork. So that was.
What if you were selling a house? Would you try to negotiate?
Yes. And the way I did it was when we sold that house, I negotiated with the realtor to get both ends of the deal. So they helped sell our existing house and then they helped buy our new house. And so we were able to negotiate. We were, that's a lucrative deal for a realtor to get both of those transactions. So we negotiated that. So we got a rebate on this. We got a rebate on the buying of our new house.
Okay, so 2 thoughts on this. There's that new law that just got passed.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And I don't know like a ton about it other than it's saying like starting in this August.
Yeah.
There's some new rules around like that 3% and 3% is no longer.
Yeah, I should have said that up front, that the whole world is going to change.
Yeah.
So what I was able to do for the past 15 years in buying and selling homes likely won't be there, but they're basically the realtors and the associations that they're part of can't mandate the commissions. So
don't you think that that'll make it to where even more people are doing what you just did, though?
Yeah, I think so. Right. I think that will lead to more negotiations.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Asking for a friend, Andrew. If you were selling, wait, now you know the friend's me. If you were selling a rental property right now with a realtor that's going to do like real work to sell it and everything, would you try to negotiate that 3%?
Unlikely on the selling side.
Okay.
If you just had that piece of it.
Okay. That's why, because I was like, when I saw this, I was like, oh, I thought about it. We're actually selling a rental right now. And I know the person too that is selling it. And I was like, I almost like if I didn't know someone would consider negotiating it. But I also feel like this person's gonna, like, they've already put a lot of work into helping us get some things ready. And they were like willing to meet with contractors and just have been going above and beyond. But I was very curious on that piece. I agree, if you've done half the work and you show up, and especially if you're using them on both ends of a deal, I think people are often used to and not surprised to be negotiated on in a situation like that. So
and also I was very upfront. I did the negotiation well before the work was being done by them, so it wasn't like a surprise at the closing table where I was trying to negotiate it. Right, like I was very upfront with the people I worked with.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, what else on housing?
I love this one, and it's making one extra payment a year on a 30-year mortgage will take 8 years off the term. So, I've talked about this before. I'm a big fan of a 15-year mortgage, but a lot of people maybe can't swing a 15-year mortgage. And so if you take out a 30, but if you make that one extra payment, you kind of get halfway in between a 15 and a 30. And a lot of people are paid every 2 weeks. And so there will be certain months of the year where you'll get 3 paychecks instead of 2 paychecks. And so during that month where you get 3 paychecks, take that paycheck and put it against your mortgage, put an extra payment against the mortgage, and then that'll take 8 years off your term. So I should probably clarify the numbers that I'm using here, right? So I was using $400,000 mortgage at 7.5%, with a monthly payment of, what was my monthly payment of $3,700.
So that's like at current interest rates.
Correct.
A
Yes.
current mortgage you would get into.
Yep.
Now, if you had a 3% interest rate, that 8 years could turn into like 5 years, or I don't know what the math is, but it might not be. It might not take that many years off your mortgage because you're at a lower interest rate.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
obviously
so-
the price of your home could impact that. But that rule is important, right? Like making some small incremental additional payments every year can change your interest trajectory pretty significantly.
Correct.
Okay, one of the ones that I love that is home related is calling to renegotiate your bills. So, when you see all of a sudden that like my internet bill just crept up because it kind of ended like a 12-month promotional period, you can shop around, you can look at competitor rates, you can call and just have them renegotiate against themselves and just say, hey, what's the best price you can give me? Mm-hmm. Often you get transferred to a retention department. You can call and say you're going to leave and you're going to quit and you're going to shift because this person is offering you internet for $50 a month. And it can be an empty threat. You don't like the cancellation is not like a one-word process, right? Like you got to go through a bunch of hoops to cancel. So as you start to, if they call your bluff and are like, okay, we're going to cancel you, we can't get that price, you can be like, okay, actually I got to go, I'm going to think about this and I'll call back or something. And so you don't actually have to, follow through with what you were claiming, but there's a lot you can do to shop around with insurance companies if you feel like your rates have gotten higher. I'm actually about to reshop all of my insurance with Amica. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yep.
Do you use them?
No, but I need to.
I keep hearing about so many people that use them.
I need to reshop. My homeowner just went up another $1,000. So literally in the 4 years since we've been here, it has doubled from $2,200 to $5,000.
That's crazy. Yeah, ours. I mean, rates are just much higher than they used to be, and I know a number of people that use them, and they have a really high customer service quality rating, and I think I've heard they have really competitive rates. So, but it's like it's a little bit of work to like requote all those because I need to do like our cars and our
everything
homeowners, and we've got stuff on our rental properties. And
my mom's talked about this a lot because insurance gets rolled into people's mortgage payments and things like that, and like it's a national problem of how high homeowners insurances have gotten.
Yeah, it is getting expensive. On that note, I was going to say like controversial, but a more tricky savings hack on home stuff, because homes are really expensive. It's expensive to buy a home these days. It's expensive to have homeowners insurance, all these things we're talking about. A potential savings hack is to rent.
Yep.
Right. So for the right person, I think years ago, renting used to get a lot of flack, and renting is having its like time in the, what's the word? It's
in the sun.
It's having its time in the sun. Yeah. It is, depending on your situation and what you're looking for. And if you can live in the neighborhood you want to live in and be in the school district, whatever's important to you, renting's not a bad deal. You're on a fixed, your cost. You're not paying for any repairs, really. Like anything happens, you're paying for renter's insurance, which is significantly cheaper than homeowner's insurance. And it's just your costs are so much lower, and not always lower, but more predictable and often lower. And yes, you don't get the benefits of home ownership and potentially having a appreciating asset, but it can be a really good situation, especially if you don't necessarily plan on staying in certain cities for very long.
That's a huge factor, right? Really high transactional costs on home purchases and sales.
Yeah.
So,
all the realtor fees we were just talking about.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good call out.
Okay. Let's talk about food, another big expensive category.
Another one that everyone likes to talk about.
What are some of your savings hacks? You're good on this one, Andrew.
Eating at home, right? So we talked about this a lot in the last episode, but yeah, that's a huge one.
Yeah, my favorite hashtag on Instagram is we have food at home, which is a reminder. Like every time people ask to go out to eat, my kids don't even really ask to go out to eat that much anymore because they know
Yeah.
We just don't eat out a ton. We do eat out some, and we, they get their share of Starbucks treats and ice cream and other stuff. But we really try to, I'd say, we eat at home much more than the average family. On that same note, bring your lunch to work, which I remember you say. I was so surprised to hear for such a long time you didn't.
20 years of not bringing my lunch to work. Now I always bring it.
I had 20 years of bringing my lunch to work, and now I work where my lunch is, and there's nothing to bring anywhere.
All right, next, minimize food waste. This one is, I like to say that your freezer is your friend when it comes to food waste. And we got a chest freezer for our garage, and that's been really helpful.
Man, they're like $100. Like Sam sells them, like $150 for a decent size.
I think ours was like $180 at Costco, and it's a pretty good size. Crystal uses it for freezing all of her cakes as well. But I freeze all my bread. Freeze fruit and vegetables before they go bad, right? So
I freeze spinach before it's about to go bad, and then that's what I use in my smoothies. You can freeze. We freeze cupcakes. We freeze cake. You can freeze desserts. You can freeze cookies. You can freeze.
Yeah.
You can freeze milk. Did you know that?
I have not done that, but typically milk doesn't go bad in our household.
Well, I haven't drank like real milk in a long time. I don't know if you can freeze soy milk, but my old mother-in-law, so my ex-husband's mom.
Yeah.
She froze milk, and I always was like, that's weird. That's going to taste weird. And the trick is, like, you got to shake it back up and get it back to, like, but she would, like, buy it on discount and then freeze it when it was, like, about to go bad. And I, at first, was, like, a little, like, ugh. And then I was like, taste, you never know the difference.
Yep. And then next one is, I know you're aligned with this one, shop at Lidl or Aldi or Costco and BJ's.
Where is there a BJ's? Is that like a Northeastern? I know I've heard of BJ's, but that's not like an Atlanta thing.
Yeah, it's in the Northeast or Sam's.
I was just surprised you didn't say Sam's Club.
Well, BJ's is a Carter's customer, so that's why I know about them.
Well, shout out to BJ's. I just haven't ever been to one, but I've heard of them.
But yeah, I continue. We recently got a Lidl probably about a year and a half ago, and so we've pretty much moved almost all of our grocery shopping to Lidl, and it is shocking how much cheaper it is than the mainstream grocery stores.
Yeah, it is. You got to go there to experience it. And I've been like a huge fangirl of Aldi for a very long time. I will say though, Greg, who does most of the grocery shopping lately, or not most, but a lot, is like really digging Lidl lately. We've been shopping a lot at Lidl.
Nice.
We still go to Aldi sometimes, but we've shifted to like between Lidl and Aldi. We're like 80% Lidl. It's because Aldi was out of soy milk for like...
Yeah. Lidl's soy milk is very good, and also their extra firm tofu is very good.
Yes, and their soy milk and their tofu are like around $2 each. Yeah. When you get soy milk at Target or anywhere else, it's like $5. Yeah. I mean, it's like less than half the price for certain products at Aldi or Lidl. And the quality, I think, is top-notch, personally.
And I did a Costco run this evening on my way home from work. And, so definitely you can...
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Save a lot there. All right, shopping. Next category, which is typically big for everyone. Maggie, you and I have been in the e-commerce world for a long time, worked with lots of retailers. We know all the tricks. So first one is... unsubscribe from emails.
Yeah.
The marketers are very good. And so I have almost no emails coming in my inbox for retailers.
Yeah, I would say along the same lines, I really try to avoid walking inside stores, especially stores like Target, because it's no different than an email coming into my inbox. I walk into Target, the average person walks into Target, it's just there's stuff on the end caps. It's beautiful. You didn't realize you needed a shirt, even though you came in for laundry detergent. You can do store pickup at Target, and it saves you time and it saves you money because you're not getting impulse purchases. I even at times will be like, there's nothing else I need from Target, but I am out of deodorant and I'm a Target Circle member and I get free 2-day shipping. And I know it's not the best thing for the environment, but it will save me money to just have this deodorant show up to my house in 2 days and to not walk into Target where I will almost guarantee buy something other than deodorant.
Yeah. We pretty much exclusively use Target pickup now. It's really good.
Yeah, it's very nice.
All right, next, cash back. when you're buying online. So Rakuten is
Formerly known as eBay.
eBay. That's right. I forgot about that, old school.
Remember, that was
right?
my job when we were
Yes.
at Home Depot. I managed all the affiliate programs.
all the affiliate programs.
I knew affiliate marketing before it was like all the rage it is now.
Yeah, so you can definitely save a lot of money, and a lot of retailers will use this to get around MAP requirements, so minimum advertised pricing. They'll boost their incentives so they're not undercutting manufacturer's pricing via affiliate shopping. So, sometimes during Black Friday and some big promotions, retailers will be offering 10-15% cash back.
Rakuten 2 days ago, had 20% cash back at Nike.
Yeah.
It's normally like 3%, but they'll run promos.
Yeah.
20% at Nike, 20% at Crocs. And one of my kids needed a new pair of Crocs, so I got 20% cash back, which is essentially 20% off.
So side note on that, Nike is doing that to not upset their wholesalers.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
They had 20% off at Academy Sports. They had 20% off at like 10 different places. And what was funny is Greg, like in my app, it was like VIP savings, 20% off. Greg had the same thing, but was only being offered 15% on the exact same day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like joking to him. I'm like, I'm a bigger VIP than you are. Or I just spend more money than you.
Yep. And then along similar lines, like always Google for a coupon before buying anything. So Slick Deals, great site for finding deals. And now you got to be careful that you don't fall into the trap of just buying something you didn't need because it was a good deal. But if you need something, typically you can find some kind of discount or promotion.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time I buy anything. Like if I'm like, oh, I need one of my kids' Crocs doesn't fit them anymore and they need a new pair, I will go Google Crocs discounts, or I'll go to Rakuten.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, happened to see that they were doing 20% off, and I was like, oh, perfect, because I've been meaning to buy them Crocs for weeks. And so I rarely will go buy something online before going and doing a couple quick checks. I even have like an app on my Chrome browser called Honey, which is nice. It will go and check coupon codes in the cart of a website, and it'll try out a bunch of different codes for you. It doesn't work on every site, but it's pretty helpful on many. And so you can get some like pretty meaningful savings from some of those cash back or coupons.
Another trick I'll do is if I'm interested in something or from a brand, I'll put a alert on Slick Deals. And so wait until something comes up for them so you're alerted to a specific deal.
Yeah, that's a great point. I forgot you can do that. I also put pretty much everything I buy on a credit card. And in my case, it's usually my Delta Sky Miles card. And I pay off the bill every single month. It's on auto pay. But I'm doing that to earn points or miles for travel. And so that is a way that I am saving money. And, there's an entire industry on travel hacking. I am not the most savvy or focused travel hacker. I'm just doing the basics most of the time of like everything I spend is on a credit card and is earning some sort of points or miles. And, I would caution you to only do this if you are disciplined and able to use credit cards responsibly and to pay your bill every single month. If you're not, it is not worth the risk because the interest rates on credit cards are ridiculous, almost predatory, like 20%.
Higher than that, 30.
Yeah, you're right. I think they used to be 20% like 10 years ago.
They're like some are even mid-30s. It's insane.
That's crazy. That is like predatory because you get hit with like 1 month of that and you can't pay it. You were just in this like downward spiral of never being able to pay it. And so don't ever touch this when I call this a savings hack, it's terrible. If you are not, and you should know yourself, right? If you don't feel like you can use credit cards responsibly, which means pay the bill off every single month, then do not do this. But I certainly, we get a lot of free travel through the points and miles that we earn from everything we spend day to day, which is a great perk, great savings.
All right. Next is, and this takes some planning, right? Is if you know you're going to be buying something, wait for the sale periods and wait for Black Friday week or Amazon Prime days, right? Like retailers are going deep to drive traffic during those time periods, and you can absolutely save a bunch of money during those time periods.
Yeah. And so, we'll hit a few final ones, but I would say when you were making the point earlier, Andrew, that, people think sometimes these like little things can't add up. If you do like a bunch of the things we're talking about, you could save a lot by, refinancing your mortgage or cutting 5 years off the length of your mortgage. But if you do a lot of these things, like you start shopping at Aldi, you bring your lunch to work, you eat out a little bit less, when you buy things, do cash back, you quit walking into Target, like you can save hundreds, thousands a month and really get into some better habits and leverage those savings towards positive financial goals that you are planning towards, which could be putting more money in your 401k, building an emergency fund, might be a bunch of different things.
I think it's like a lot of these things, like, $50 here, $100 there, like they continue to add up. Like the simple one we do thinking about Black Friday is every year Target does a 10% discount on gift cards for Black Friday up to $1,000. So every year we buy $1,000 of gift cards for Target that we then will use for typically the first 3 or 4 months of the following year. But you're saving basically 10% on everything you buy at Target then. So just simple things like that.
Yeah. So a few final ones that are just a little bit miscellaneous. I try to limit the number of streaming services that I have turned on at once. So Andrew, you probably don't even have this problem because I feel like you watch way less TV. And
I actually have 2 right now. We have Disney Plus for the kids, and I have Netflix for riding my bike inside. So
splurging.
Yeah.
And 2 is great, but if there's times where you're like, oh, there's a show I want to watch. I was just talking to someone about this because they hadn't seen Ted Lasso yet, and I was like, oh my gosh, you have to watch Ted Lasso.
I haven't seen Ted Lasso yet.
Oh my gosh, you have to watch Ted Lasso. That's not even, it wasn't even you I was talking to, but second person this week.
What's it on?
It's on Apple TV, but you can binge it in 1 month. And so turn it on for 1 month. Yeah. And, it's just not a huge investment. And so my thing is just like turn these things on and off as you need to.
Yeah, I tried to turn off Disney Plus, and
Did they get you with a retention offer?
No, but my family was ready to like kill me. So when I suggested it, I got the evil eye from the kids.
Well, I mean, yeah. You go with like you only have one other service on, you're good. But I look at like, do you need Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, and Paramount or Peacock? There's like 20 streaming services these days. And sometimes there's a certain show that like ourselves or the kids want to watch. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, Greg and I just started watching Based on a True Story. He had read that it was good. That's what it's called, Based on a True Story. It's really good. We're like an episode and a half in, and it's on Peacock. Or as we call it in our house, Peacock. Every time we say it, we go Peacock. So you can, like, we were like, okay, cool. We had recently turned on Paramount Plus to watch some old Survivor episodes with the kids. And so we were like, okay, cancel Paramount. We'll turn Peacock on for a month and watch this show.
Cool.
And I really just try to limit the number. Like, you can have them all over time, but you don't need them all at once.
I think Liz has talked about that, right?
Yeah, well, Liz and I have both probably talked about it because I think we both do it. And I think she's even better. Like, she'll keep like 1 on. And I'm like, I sometimes might have a couple on, but I don't, have too many on.
All right, next, local library. Big fan.
Love it.
Yep.
Big fan. Big library fan. If they started charging a monthly fee for the library, I'd pay it.
Yeah. It's called property taxes.
You're right. Actually, I pay a very large. Good point. I'm paying my fee already.
All right, next.
Oh, wait, but on the library, they don't just have books. They have puzzles. They have local tickets to things in your city that you can check out temporarily. They also, like, newspapers, people that pay for the New York Times. You and I talked about this recently, Andrew.
Yeah,
like, because it
and Liz
was on
made
the
fun
what
of
we
us.
don't pay for. Yeah. Like, I don't pay for the New York Times. What do I look like, a sucker? Just kidding, Liz. Liz has lots of money. You got no kids. You can pay for the New York Times app. But I got to put my kids through college. I can't afford the New York Times monthly fee. I just, every day when I want to go watch something or when I want to go read something on New York Times, I have to go. I did what you told me, Andrew.
Bookmark?
I saved the login.
Yeah.
Yep. Saved it. And now it's much faster and I do it more often. Because usually what would happen is someone would link to like a New York Times article.
Yeah.
I'd get to it, realize it was behind a firewall or a login wall.
Paywall.
And then I was like, I'd give up. I'd be like, I don't really want to read it that bad.
I don't know if you noticed.
The fire article you
the
sent
link
me,
I sent you, I unlocked it for you.
You can do that?
Yes, you get 10 gifted articles.
That is really I thought it was because the day before I had just logged in through the library.
I took the time to unlock that for you.
Andrew, that is like a true friend.
Yep.
I had no idea you can do that. I'm going to do that to some people. Not Liz, because she already has it unlocked, but someone that I know is not paying for New York Times. What a friend. You're a nice guy,
It's the small
Very
things.
Thoughtful. It is the small things. I'm an act of service love language, so like I really appreciate something like that. Okay. Another quick one is like investing in reusable things. So I don't use like paper towels. Like we use cloth napkins. We actually buy them when we're traveling in other countries. So we have like cool memories of, things we picked up elsewhere.
That's a good idea.
Just anything that you can reuse where you're not having to constantly buy something that's a consumable. Like I don't use a lot of Clorox wipes. I spray stuff on old washcloths and wash things that way. And yeah, just think about like investing in reusable things.
Yeah. Good from a minimalist perspective and also
Yeah.
much better for the environment.
Yeah, good for your wallet and
Yep.
the environment.
All right. And then last one, which I have to give credit to Instagram, and I really should have noted who actually suggested this, but you put out a request for people to submit things about, what they don't spend money on. And
Oh, yeah.
and this came up was only buy gas at gas stations. And I love that because I definitely follow that. So we, whenever we're traveling, we're always bringing food and drinks with us and not buying stuff.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I don't go to gas stations anymore. We're a full EV family now. But I will say sometimes I go to gas stations to save money because QT has like really inexpensive ice cream. Sometimes when the kids want a treat, it's like $1 to get their like soft serve versus going to like Menchie's is like $6 or $7 a person. And they have less expensive ices. They're not as good as like the real ices, but they're like a lot. Like there's a neighborhood spot where an icy is like $4 or $5 and it's like $1 at QT. Anyways, I'm encouraging people to spend money at gas stations, so that's not helpful. Actually, on that point, think about lower cost alternatives to things. So if your kids really like the experience of going out for ice cream, well, cool, but like Menchie's is expensive and certain types of eating out for ice cream is expensive. And I'll do it sometimes and we splurge all the time on stuff for our kids, but I sometimes just do it less often, or I'll like every other time I'll do it at a less expensive place. So I'll be like, oh, we just went to Menchie's last week. We're going to go to QT if you want ice cream today. And they're half the time they're like, it's sugar. They don't care. They just want sugar.
I like that.
Okay. Well, I hope these were some helpful savings hacks. And I think in general, like to me, even when like some of these specific ones may not apply to you and your lifestyle or the phase of life you're in, I think just hearing about stuff that other people are doing like gets me in the mindset
It's a
and
mentality.
the mind frame to
100%
think,
agree.
yeah, like, yeah, where can I just think about what you're spending money on and where there are alternatives? And it might take a little bit of time, like upfront on re-shopping things like insurance and other stuff. But some of the shopping stuff is just like in the moment, different small incremental changes to how you're doing things.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we really appreciate you all listening. We know your time is limited and valuable, and thank you for spending some of it with us. If you've enjoyed this episode or any of our episodes, we would love it if you want to give us a written review on Apple Podcast, or you can leave a rating on Spotify. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and shout out to everyone who's recently left some really nice reviews for us.
Yeah, I love reading them, and I'll send them to the co-host too.
We also encourage you to share this episode with a friend or family member to encourage ongoing discussions about money. You can also subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have thoughts or questions, we'd love to hear from you. You can leave a voicemail or text us at 404-981-3370 or hit us up on Instagram, and we definitely work hard to reply and respond to everyone. Or Maggie does. Maggie runs the Instagram account.
I do sometimes. I try. Well, thank you guys, and thanks, Andrew. I always enjoy our chats, and especially when we're talking about how we can be a little frugal, because you know what? I was just talking to Greg about this, and I had said something to one of my kids about it too. We have been getting like a little more spendy than I like to get. Sometimes I like to splurge, and then sometimes I'm like, this is just sort of like thoughtless, like not super intentional, just me getting a little bit like lazy is not even the right word, but kind of like a little bit lazy and just unintentional.
Yeah, keep yourself in check.
Yeah. And so I like these discussions because it just reminds me who I want to be and what's important to me, because when I get a little too spendy in some areas, sometimes I feel good about it, but there's other things where I'm like, that I don't care about that. You know? Yeah, it didn't do anything for me. It was a short-term dopamine hit. Okay. Have a great night. See you later, Andrew.
Thanks, Maggie. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Andrew and I were having a conversation after the episode, and then it was like getting good. And so I was like, I'm going to record it. Maybe we'll include it as a bonus track. Okay. So Andrew was asking me what I'm spending money on lately when I said I've just been too spendy lately. Okay. There's some things I've been spending money on lately that I feel good about that are like purposeful and intentional. So I'll give you an example, like kombucha, and like we really like this hop water that it's a non-alcoholic.
Okay.
Drink, and I'm on an antibiotic for something else, and so I've like been trying to like drink more kombucha and just like multiple things, and so those are like ones that I feel good about because I'm like they're investing in things that I consider kind of like health related or like just
anything health related. Yep.
Yeah. Or just like putting good food into my body. Like it doesn't feel like an irresponsible or unthoughtful splurge. There's other things where like we're just kind of eating out a little bit too much lately, and not on like enjoyable stuff. Sometimes it's like social stuff, but sometimes it's just
like is it like a random Tuesday night you decide to go out?
Yeah, or like we're doing a bunch of work on a rental property and it's
Yeah.
not by our house. And like we'll pack some snacks, but then we're just like exhausted and hungry. We've
Yeah.
been really busy. The busier we are lately, it's like when we're at volleyball tournaments,
Yeah.
it's hard, you know? And then the biggest category I would say is my kids. So we've been like eating out more with them and like I like treat them to Starbucks more often and like, and they're, you know, teenager-ish and teenagers and like they want things and I want to give them things because I want to make them happy. But I also want to teach them balance and, you know, not conspicuous. Is it conspicuous? What's the opposite of conscious consumerism? Yeah, I also want to like, you know, not teach them. Why is that
Purchase
word
of goods or services for the specific purpose of displaying one's wealth.
Yeah, and like not teach them about, I don't want to encourage conspicuous consumption and I want them to be more thoughtful consumers and so I'm trying to instill that in them, but I also don't want to be like so uptight about money and I want to come from more of an abundance mindset and if you know, I get a die with zero streak in me and I'm like, oh, let's enjoy our life. And, you know, it's one thing when we're like traveling that I like to do that. And that's a justifiable time for me. But sometimes when we're home, I'm just getting a little sort of tired and lazy and like not eating as healthy as a result. And like, so, I mean, there's just things like that lately where I feel like I'm just spending more money than I want to be spending. And it's not necessarily on stuff that I look back and feel really good about, you know, a few weeks later.
Yep.
It's just easier to say yes. And to my kids. I mean, I don't mean to blame it all on the kids, but like 50% of it are kid-related situations.
I haven't gotten to that point. Yeah, my kids are not at the consumption phase yet, really. And so, one, we don't really expose them too much. Like, they don't go shopping a whole lot. And so, I think that's going to be more difficult as they get into their teenage lives.
And my kids were much more, when they were your kids' age, it was a lot more like that. Yep. It has changed dramatically. And they go off to do stuff with their friends. And like most of it involves money, even when it's small amounts. Right. And it just adds up, you know. Like we go to we spent like hundreds of dollars at a volleyball, like the regional volleyball tournament last weekend. It was like the food was expensive and you're kind of trapped in this building and I'm at like the Georgia World Congress Center and I'm hungry. And an acai bowl is like $20, 23 if you leave a tip. and I did. And like, it's just things just add up and, you know, I've just been it's funny. One of my kids asked for Starbucks today after school and Greg wasn't in the room, but I had said to him, I was like, yeah, I mean, I told her, I was like, look, we've just been spending a lot of money lately and we leave for Australia in like 2 weeks and or like 20 days, exactly 20 days. And that's really going to be really expensive. And like we thought we had one kid that did need braces. And like, as of today, all 3 need braces. And I was like, we just got to kind of like, you know, rein it back. And I will appreciate that, like, when I do say that, the kids are, like, very understanding. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't, like, push back or whine or, like... but I've just been getting a little, like, off my guard on the spending lately.
And it's easy to do, right? Like, you got to stay on top. You got to stay on top of it.
And I need Greg to give me, like, a monthly recap from Monarch.
Yeah.
Like, I need to hear, like, oh, how much have we spent I'm better at, like, a macro view of, like, what did we spend year to date versus last year? Like, how much higher is it? And I got to do a whole episode on, like, I'm just spending more money in early retirement. So that is a huge reality. There's just way more situations.
Well, that's what I've thought more about it. Like, that's, I think, one of the reasons why I continue to work is because I think if I have all this free time, I'm going to be wanting to do things, and doing things it will involve, you know, spending money. And so that's a big piece of it.
You're too busy to spend money right now, dude. Yeah. I was too it's a lot easier when you're like cooped up in a cage at work all day and you can't, you know, like I just have like, the world is my oyster. I can spend money on everything and I do. And it's just so tempting and it's all around me. Yeah. And I have 3 girls in the house with me and they like to spend money and I like when they're happy and I have money to spend, you know, and it's like, it's just this like negative cycle.
on the Starbucks thing, I'm just curious about this. Like and I've not gotten to this stage yet. So this is like what I'm planning on doing. And you may tell me like, you're crazy, Andrew, this is going to backfire. But like, if it were to come to Starbucks with my kids and my kids ask me for Starbucks, I'd be like, if you guys want to spend your money on that, then you can get Starbucks. But absolutely not. I'm not buying you Starbucks.
So was that the question?
Yeah. Like how would that come across if you took that approach and attitude?
So I take that approach on all sorts of things. Anytime they go out with their friends, they know they have to spend their money.
Yeah.
But, and I'm like, look, we didn't choose to go out to dinner as a family. And so especially like our 15-year-old, she likes to go out to eat a lot with her. That's like one of the social things they do is like, And so I'm like, cool. Well, like, we're not going out to eat tonight. So like, if you want to go out to eat, like it's on your dime and like, you know, you have money from various sources. And so tonight she's the one where I said that. And I go, I'm happy to take you to Starbucks if you want to pay. And she was like, I don't have any money right now. I was like, well, cool. Neither do I. And so she handled it very well. But there are times that they do have to spend their own money on things. There are more times lately where I will take them and like treat them for things because they really like it. And they're so like, there's so many moods and attitudes day to day in our home. And so like, I mean, sometimes I'm buying their love and I'm not too proud to admit it, but I just like, and it's not just like, I mean, I'm half joking saying like buying their love, but it's like when people get home from school and I'm like, you want to go to Starbucks? Especially when you've set the bar as low as Greg and I have, they get really excited.
Yeah. Okay.
They get way more of those treats at their other parents' house than they do at our house.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot
and
about that.
And they kind of know that.
Yeah.
But they also get like amazing trips all over the world from us that they don't get from their other parents. So, I mean, I think they're very recognizing of like what they get from different households and like they understand the different choices. And I verbalize all that to them. So I'm pretty like open and vulnerable about money in front of all of them, which I think is important. But yeah, I'm just getting like I'm just spending too much money on stuff lately.
You, from the last episode on what we don't spend money on, you gave me a homework assignment. Do you remember what the homework assignment was?
It was to get your hair cut. No.
It was just before the haircut conversation. We had a haircut conversation, but before the haircut, it was something that you spend money on that I don't, and you suggest...
Can I cheat and go to the show notes? Right before the haircut... I want to see if I can get it back to me. Well, we were talking about the gym, if we went in order. No, what was it?
It was something that you spend money on that I don't, and you told me I should. The lawn service.
Did you do it?
I hired a lawn service.
How much does it cost?
$70 every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So,
and that's for like one treatment?
That's
yard service every 2 weeks.
Cut the grass, edge, blow, and do the bushes as well.
Okay. And they come once every 2 weeks? Then.
Correct, yes. So I had the first one done 2 weeks ago. They come.
How did that feel?
It felt pretty good.
And they do it in like an hour too. Like you're out there for like
I wasn't home. Okay. So, but they come again tomorrow.
I'm home.
Yeah.
And they come, and there's usually like a few of them. And I'm like, oh my God, y'all did that in like 30 minutes. That would have taken me like 6 hours to do by myself.
Yeah.
And they're good. They're better.
Yeah.
I don't know if yours was like better.
Yeah. I broke down and got the lawn service. So
good for you,
I knew you'd be proud of me for doing that.
I'm very proud. I did forget about that, but I'm very proud of you. So congratulations. Meanwhile, your $140 that you're spending a month, I'm spending on, couldn't even tell you what sort of crap lately.
I can't wait for our spending recap.
I know. The mid-year expense review is going to be rough. Okay.
Okay.
Have a good night. It was good seeing you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.